What's up, Union Arena players? This is Kyle D, better known as Universities, and today we have a fun market watch to talk about because Black Clover and Bleach Volume 2 drops today, and I figured it would be kind of good to kind of go over prices, where things might fall. So without further ado, let's get in the video and talk about it. So guys, if you want to help support the channel with no extra cost, please use the affiliate link down below. It costs you nothing to support the channel, and it's just a great way of doing it while you're checking out cards that you are always ready going to be paying for. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first off, you guys should understand how the Union Arena market works. It is not all hype like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, or anything like that. It kind of falls into the factors of, you know, is the deck having competitiveness? And if it's not, the biggest issue comes down to is we don't have major events holding this game together yet. And that's when we will see better results and higher prices. But till then, this is what happens when there is no high competitive. We see a lot of low-end cards, a lot of cheap cards because those decks won't see play. Because again, anything that is competitive usually shines brighter. And we saw that when we had the two regional events in January, those exploded the prices. So things like this will end up leading into more expensive cards once we start getting closer to August. And once we kind of have a good defining meta. And again, I do weekly meta reports by looking at the local scene, and I cover major events that happen like winner boxes and stuff. So definitely keep a check on the channel. It does help support. But first off, Tanjiros are at the $5.40 to $6 range. This is very commonplace, especially this deck is pretty decent actually. Once we get volume 2, I expect a lot of these prices to go up, and especially if we have, you know, worlds and bigger regional events all the way till December, this will definitely get the hype in there. Now, Zenitsu, another really good card, but if you take a look, it's $2.31. It hasn't held major expensiveness since the end of February. You know, that happens when like decks kind of phase out, and Demon Slayer is a very popular set, but really only yellow shined brightest. You know, even for the Hashira list, it's at $2. I mean, this thing's always been undervalued, but like the deck is decent when it can be played competitively, but when it can't, it kind of hurts itself, right? I think it's just there's way too many fast decks, and the Hashira deck has fallen off out of favor. Now, like Shinon is basically at 17s, which makes a lot of sense. Now we have volume 2 confirmed, which will be next year. So people are going to be snagging up cards like this. And especially because they already know GGO is one of the better decks out of the set. You know, that's very important to take a look at. And this is holding tier 1 status in Japan. I think it got moved down to 1.5, whatever 1.5 feels bad tier is. And the 2.5 tiers are always the feel bads because people just don't want to hear their deck is tier 3 or tier 2. So, you know, $17 to 20s. Yeah, this just happens. Now, Asanas are 13s, which again, I feel like blue is still one of the stronger of the competitiveness. Yeah, you do see a lot more people picking up GGO because I'm going to be straight honest with you. The fact is that people want to make sure they have the more competitive deck, especially when volume 2 comes out. When you know there's more waves of support and you can see futuristic of Japan, that really does boost numbers on cards. Now, you have like Gawain here. Gawain was at 16s. Now we're back up to 22. We have competitive coming back closer and closer. Every single month takes closer to the first regional. People are now picking up cards that they're going to be wanting to play competitively. So it does add up. So at 20 bucks, Gawain is just going to hold that price until it falls down. And it does eventually fall down. Yuji Itadori, I'm surprised this thing hasn't been stacked up more. We're moving up to 10s, which again, we have next month. You know, volume 2 comes out, and volume 2 is going to affect this card's value. Now, Ichigo Kurosaki, This, I'm going to be honest with you, is super undervalued right now. I'm going to be straight. $5 to $6. This thing is climbing and being picked up. For competitive wise, you're going to see this Ichigo pop up more and more. I know there are multiple variants, and that's what's probably keeping the low end at fives, but eventually they will start snagging up the high ends, and then they're going to go after the low. So make sure you get your copies, especially because Volume 2 Purple Bleach, I think, is one of the strongest Tier 1 decks going into the format. Nezuko, looking at Nezuko, every set kind of has this like $13 to $18 card, range, and I think Nezuko is a good indicator of that, and it holds that value. Now, Lancelot Air Cavalier is another card that you should probably pick up because, again, that next wave of support is going to bolster this deck into Tier 1 status, and I don't want you guys to be blindsided when this card becomes like a $20 card again, and people are going to get upset. So hopefully you use this market watch as your benefit, because I want this to be beneficial, not because it should be me making profit. Like, I don't make money off of you guys. If you use the affiliate link down below, sure, I make a small percentage of your sale, but I don't really get anything out of that much. Hellish Blizzard, looking at $6.25. Going up to 9s. This card is always like in and out of the 5s range and depends on how constructed people feel. Again, the deck is a very powerful deck, and I think it's just pilot dependent. Speedo Sound Sonic, I think, is one of the more slept on decks. I think the deck is extremely well. The only problem it has is against Purple Code, and I think it even just gets under Sukuna very comfortably, just because, again, swapping in and getting those attacks in left and right, those 4 attacks can lead to being very scary. And the deck's ability, I know that it definitely needs another wave of support. Once it gets that and can keep swapping around like a crazy fiend, I think the deck is stupidly good. I think it's just one more wave of support from it to actually hold that Tier 1 status. But I think it's a really solid Tier 2 deck. I played enough with the deck to understand, like, if you are not facing yellow Saitama or green Saitama, like, you can get underneath them, but you're not on a clock. You can outpace most of the other decks, and I think just people don't really like One Punch Man enough. Saitama looking at 50 cents. Green Saitama is definitely one of the stronger decks. Yellow Saitama is holding strong at $2. No surprise. Garu, like, One Punch Man is the abnormality. I think there's just not enough people that like One Punch Man to classify this to be what they want to be playing competitively. Now let's get into Blood War. First off, the Zombie Maker, the ones that make Bombi and Zombie, it's at $9 right now. I wouldn't pay $9 really. I think it's overpriced. I think it's going to be like a $2 card, if not lower, on release, until people start adapting with it and learning that you can actually really play this deck fun. Ichigo Kurosaki 17s. I expect this to be like 17s. I think this might be the big chase card of the set for competitive wise, because Purple Bleach is the stronger of the set, the colors, but that's just me. Rukia could definitely hold like a $13 range. If not, it might be like 8 or lower. Depends on how well people adapt to the blue list, right? Now you have Marilyn. This chick here, I forget her name. I haven't seen her enough to hear her name, so I don't know. Being this chick here is that choose one character on the front line, switch it to activate, gains 1000 DP, it's double damage and impact 1. So yeah, I think it's pretty powerful, but I don't know how well the green deck actually does well with it being the captains. Dante, looking at 9s, 10s, I expect this to dip down. I don't expect this to hold the value. Kenpachi Zaraki 17s. I know there's a huge fan base for Kenny's, but I don't expect this to hold strong, just because I think green is really strong, don't get me wrong, but I think at the end of the day it just doesn't have enough legging. Asta greens are at 15s. I would not be doing this. I'm sorry. I don't think 15 is valid for this Asta. Asta's 9, purple Asta 9. I think this will be like a $1 card as well, and I think the green Asta will probably be like a $3 card, so just expect that. Then we do have none other than Yami, our 15s. I expect this to be cheap as well. I don't expect a lot of the purple stuff to actually have high value, nor green. It's definitely the red Asta stuff. Like even Renji's are at 18s right now, and I would say this thing is going to be like a $3 card eventually. Now Asta reds are at 25s. I think this is going to be the big boy of the set, so I expect this one for Black Clover to be maybe the $14 to $16 range. Mimosa here is at 9s right now. If you can pick them up at 9s, I think that's very comfortable. I expect her to be like the $13 card, if not holding 13 to 9s. The reason I say this is because Mimosa is played in every red deck. There's a difference between, you know, the ones that get super played and there's the ones that are just like niche for the list. And I think Mimosa actually holds a little bit of value. And I think at the end of the day, I expect her to hold like that 13 range, just because it is going to be one of those key pieces, because she is played at 4 in each versions. Yuna. Why is this Yuna? Sees a semi play, but like it's not actually going to see play. It's just a 2 AP boy, and it's just too expensive. Green though definitely is the heart and soul of its deck. I think if it's Asta's on field, look at the top card of your deck, place it at top or bottom, reveal the top card of your deck, then place it at the top or bottom deck. If the real card is a green character or a site with 3 energy or 1 AP, you may place 1 card from your hand into the sideline, then place the revealed card set to rest it on your field, perform raid with it instead. So, it's pretty powerful. It takes what the bomber deck was trying to do and does it in a different light. And it makes the deck very adaptable. But even looking at Ichigo, like 2-star rare for the blues, you guys are going to be paying up the wazoo. So if you want to max rarity blue, good luck on that. Then you have Mayori. Mayori being Mayori is $28. I don't know. No, this thing's going to be cheap. I'm sorry. I don't think Mayori's that competitive. But you kind of just get a good feel for everything. I mean, even if we take in Noelle, let's look at Noelle's prices real quick. Noelle. Let's take a look. She is $20 right now. I don't see her selling at 20s. I see her selling maybe at 8s or 4s or 5s. It's just very commonplace. Noelle is probably their finisher in certain lists, but at the end of the day, it's what you make of your lists, and Noelle is a very powerful card. But all in all, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.